My name is Stefan. My girlfriend had a parallel relationship with her stepfather, and this is what happened when I caught them both. Emmy and I had been together for 2 years. She's 28. I'm 25. We lived in a small apartment together. She worked as a nurse, and I had just finished my PR studies. Everything seemed fine. She often worked early shifts. I worked office hours. We cooked dinner together in the evenings. It was a normal life. It was at a midsummer party 3 years ago that it happened. We started talking. It was the first time we really talked, just the two of us. Before that, we had only said hi in passing. That day, we talked for 2 hours about everything: work, studies, movies, music. It just clicked suddenly. We started dating shortly after. Everyone was happy. Our parents seemed almost more excited than we were. They talked about how nice it was that we had found each other. It felt like everyone belonged to one big family. The bonds were close. Everyone met at least once a month. Dinner at someone's place, brunch, barbecue evening. We were a tight group. I had recently gotten my first job. It was at an agency in town. I loved it. It was exactly what I had studied for. Finally, I got the chance to show what I was capable of. I put everything into the job. I came early. I stayed late. I wanted to make an impression. I wanted to prove that they had hired the right person. Maybe I put in too much time, but I didn't think about that then. One day, I got a migraine at work. It came suddenly. I was sitting at my desk going through a document. Suddenly, it started pounding in my temple. The light became too bright. I felt nauseous. My boss saw that I was feeling unwell. She said I should go home. I didn't protest. I packed up my things and left. I drove home. It took 20 minutes. My head was throbbing the whole way. I parked the car and went in through the garage entrance. We had two entrances. The garage entrance was closer to the parking. I used it most often. The main entrance went through the garden. We used that mostly when we had guests. I opened the door quietly. I went through the garage. I didn't think about being quiet, but I was apparently very quiet anyway. I came out into the hall. I didn't take off my jacket. I went straight toward the kitchen. I wanted water. I wanted to take a headache pill. When I came out into the kitchen, I stopped abruptly. Emmy was sitting on the kitchen island. She only had a nightgown on. It was a thin, white gown. Nothing more. Tim, her stepfather, was standing between her knees. They were kissing each other. He had all his clothes on: shirt, pants, shoes. She didn't seem to have underwear. I stared. I tried to understand what I was seeing. My brain didn't want to accept it. I think I was completely silent. I barely breathed. They didn't notice me at first. It took several seconds, maybe 5, maybe 10. It felt like an eternity. The image burned itself in. Tim whispered something to her. I couldn't hear what. Emmy smiled. She pressed her face against his chest. His hands rested on her hips. It looked intimate, loving, beautiful, almost, if it hadn't been them specifically. But it was them, and that made everything wrong. My heart contracted. I couldn't breathe properly. Tim saw me first. His eyes widened. He froze. He turned around. Emmy followed his gaze. She saw me. Her face went white. What the fuck? That's all I could get out. My voice sounded strange, distant. Then they both exploded. Words came flying from all directions. Tim started explaining. Emmy started crying and talking at the same time. They talked over each other. I could barely understand what they were saying. There was too much noise, too many words at once. I turned around. I went to the sofa in the living room. I sat down. I was numb. My head was spinning. The migraine was still there, but now it mixed with something else. Shock, confusion, anger. They followed. Tim first, Emmy after him. They sat down in front of me. They were desperate. Their voices were loud and stressed. They tried to explain everything at once. Defend themselves. Apologize. I don't know. Tim said they were in a relationship. They had been for a long time. A very long time. Emmy filled in. She said it had been 10 years. 10 years. Emmy was 28 now. She was 18 when it started. Tim was 51. I felt the anger starting to bubble, but I was still too shocked to say anything. They continued. They couldn't be together openly. The stigma was too great. People wouldn't understand. They would judge. Tim loved his wife. He didn't want to hurt her. She would be crushed if she found out. They asked me to keep it secret. They asked for permission to continue meeting. They seemed to think I would agree to that, as if it was a reasonable request. My head was spinning. I tried to process everything they were saying. I couldn't get much out. The words stuck in my throat. I had 100 questions, but I couldn't get them out. Finally, I managed to formulate one. Do you love me? I asked Emmy. My voice sounded weak. Why did you even get together with me when you were already with him? She nodded immediately. Her eyes were red. The tears were flowing. She said she loved me, really loved me. But she had also decided to be in a relationship with me for another reason. Her mother had pressured her to find someone since she was 20. Every family gathering was the same nagging. When would Emmy find a guy? When would she get married? When would she give her mother grandchildren? It became too much. Emmy wanted it to stop, so she decided to get a boyfriend, a real relationship. Then her mother would stop nagging. Then I came along. We met at the midsummer party. She hadn't planned to fall in love with me, but it happened. She loved me for real, but she didn't want to leave Tim either. She had been with him for 8 years when we met. She loved him too. I felt the anger growing. I asked Tim to leave. I needed to talk to Emmy alone. He protested, but I raised my voice. I asked him to leave. Now. He got up. He looked at Emmy. She nodded. He walked toward the door. He stopped and turned around. He opened his mouth as if to say something. I stared at him. He closed his mouth. He left. When the door closed, I realized how much my head hurt. The migraine had gotten worse. The pulse was pounding in my temple. I got up. I went to the bathroom. I took a headache pill and told her I had to sleep off my migraine. I went to the bedroom. I fell asleep quickly. When I woke up, it was dark outside. I felt physically better. The headache was almost gone, but the rest remained. Emmy was sitting in front of the TV in the living room. She had her phone in her hand. She looked worried. Her eyes were still red. She had reason to be worried. She had been caught cheating. I was pretty sure that wasn't okay. I sat down in the armchair opposite her. I asked how she could choose to get together with me under those circumstances. How she could lie to me every day, every night. How she could sleep next to me and know that she was unfaithful. She started explaining again, slower this time. She said she wanted to get rid of the pressure from her mother, but she also realized that if she chose someone she could actually love, she would be in 2 relationships at the same time. An open relationship, but secret. Then her mother would stop nagging. Then her mother wouldn't try to pair her up with other men anymore. It would work perfectly. I was perfect. I was kind. I was reliable. My parents knew her parents. Everything fit. She couldn't tell me about Tim because the secret could come out. She hadn't intended to hurt me. She really loved me. She wanted to have children with me, live her life with me. But she also wanted to continue seeing Tim. She wanted both. A secret, open relationship. I pointed out the obvious. I couldn't be sure I was the father of a potential child. She smiled faintly through the tears. She said Tim had had a vasectomy many years ago, before they started dating. He and his wife already had children. He didn't want more, so there was no risk. I would be the father of her children. That was guaranteed. I stared at her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She had planned everything, every detail. I said she had forced me into a constellation I didn't want to be in. I didn't feel comfortable. Not at all. I didn't want to be in such a relationship. She tried to persuade me. She leaned forward. She took my hands. I pulled them away. She said her feelings for me were real. She didn't want to lose me. We had it so good together. We could continue to have it like that. If I wanted, I could also have another woman. We could live openly like her. Completely equal. Completely fair. I refused. I shook my head. I wanted a nuclear family. Not this. Not a secret. Not a lie. Not an open relationship with her stepfather. She started crying again. She became very sad. Her shoulders shook. I was unsure why she was crying. Was she afraid of losing me or afraid the secret would be revealed? I didn't know. I didn't care anymore. The next day I asked for space. I needed to think. I needed to be alone. She gave it to me, partially. She texted me a few times during the day to check in. How are you? Can we talk? Please answer. I barely responded. I lay down in the guest room at night. We had a small guest room with a single bed. It made her sad and upset. She came in and asked why I wasn't sleeping in our bed. I said I couldn't sleep there anymore. She started crying again. I closed the door. The night was terrible. I lay awake for hours. I thought about everything. I thought about how I had shared my girlfriend with her stepfather for 2 years. I had been fooled the whole way. She had used me as an excuse to get her mother to stop nagging. I was a convenient solution, an alibi. I thought about all the times we had been with her family, all the dinners, all the parties. Tim had been there. He had sat next to his wife. He had laughed and talked with everyone. And the whole time he and Emmy had had a secret. They might have even snuck away together at some of those events. I thought about all the nights we slept together in our bed. Had she thought about him then? Had she wished it was him next to her instead of me? I thought about Tim's wife. Her name was Maria. I liked her. And her husband had been unfaithful with her daughter for 10 years, right under her nose. She had no idea. They were too cowardly to tell her, too cowardly to handle the consequences. I came to a conclusion. I would tell. It wasn't right to deceive me. It wasn't right to deceive Maria. It wasn't right to let this continue. I decided. I would expose them. In the morning, I snuck out early. Emmy was still sleeping. I took my jacket and keys. I went out. The text started immediately when she woke up an hour later. "Where are you? We need to talk. You can't just disappear. Come home, please. I swear we can solve this." I didn't answer. I went to a cafe. I sat there for several hours. I drank coffee, I thought. The more I thought about what they had done, the angrier I got. The lie, the betrayal, the secret. Everything was wrong. I realized I wasn't going to play nice. I wasn't going to keep quiet. I would let everyone know. But how? I couldn't just call around and tell. That felt wrong. I wanted everyone to find out at the same time. I wanted them to be held accountable. There was a birthday party for my father this weekend. He was turning 50. It was going to be big. Family, friends, Emmy's family. Tim and Maria would be there. Emmy would be there. Everyone would be there. Perfect. I would expose them there. I started planning. The 2 days until the party crawled by. They felt like an eternity. Emmy and I spent almost all our free time talking. She tried to persuade me. She said we could make it work, that she really loved me, that she couldn't live without me, that she couldn't live without me, that Tim didn't mean as much. They were lies. I heard it, but I faked it. I let her believe I might agree to it. I didn't want her to suspect anything. I didn't want her to warn Tim. I didn't want them to slip away. When the party came, she had calmed down. She wasn't worried anymore. She thought I was starting to accept the situation. She even smiled a little. She took my hand when we got out of the car. I let her hold it. The party was in my parents' garden. It was beautiful weather. Sun. Warm. People had gathered. There were at least 40 people there. Family. Friends. My father's colleagues. I saw Tim and Maria. They were standing talking with some others. Tim looked relaxed. He was laughing at something someone said. I had planned to make a toast for my father. I had told him I wanted to do it. He had been happy. I was good at making speeches. I had done it before, at weddings, at graduation parties. People liked when I made speeches. I had written a speech the night before. It would start normally. Tributes. Humor. Then I would slide into the topic. When it was time, I stood up. I tapped the glass with a spoon. People stopped talking. They turned toward me. I held the glass. I started talking. "Thank you all for coming today. It means a lot. Dad, you're turning 50 today. It's a milestone. Half a century. I'm getting a little worried that you're starting to get old now. Soon you might need help remembering where you put the car keys." People laughed. My father smiled and shook his head. "But honestly, 50 is no problem. You're in better shape than me. You still run marathons. I get out of breath walking up the stairs." More laughter. Someone shouted something funny. I continued. "I want to thank you for everything you've taught me over the years. You've taught me to work hard, to be honest, to stand up for what's right. You've always been a role model. I know now that if I were to discover something, for example, just to take something straight out of the air, that my girlfriend and her stepfather have had a relationship with each other in secret for 10 years, then I know that I would feel compelled to tell all those who might be hurt by such a secret." It went dead silent. No one said anything. No one moved. It was as if time had stopped. Then came the chaos. Emmy stood up. She looked panic-stricken. Her face was white. She left the room. She almost ran. Tim stood up. He followed her. He didn't say a word. People stared. Someone gasped. Someone said something, but I didn't hear what. There was too much noise suddenly. People started talking over each other. My father came over. He looked confused, then angry. "That wasn't a funny speech. Such jokes only hurt people. It wasn't appropriate." I looked at him. I said nothing. I just looked at him. He looked back. He saw my expression. He realized it wasn't a joke. His facial expression changed. The confusion became shock. The shock became anger. He got really angry. His face turned red. He turned around. He went to presumably get hold of Tim. I heard him shouting Tim's name. Maria came over to me. Tim's wife. She was in a state of dissolution. Her eyes were wet. She was shaking. She said it was a terrible lie, that I was mean, that I couldn't say such things. I felt a pang of guilt. I should have warned her first. I should have talked to her alone. But now, it was too late. I asked her to come with me. We went aside. We went into the house. We sat down in the living room. I talked to her. I explained what I had seen. I explained what they had said. She listened. She cried. She shook her head. She didn't want to believe it, but I kept talking. I told her about their relationship of 10 years, about how they had met in secret, about how Emmy had used me as a cover. I managed to convince her. I saw when she realized it was true. Her face collapsed. She asked if I was sure, if I had really seen what I said. I nodded. I described exactly what I had seen in the kitchen, how Emmy had been sitting on the kitchen island, how Tim had stood between her knees, how they had kissed each other. Maria started crying harder. She covered her face with her hands. After a while, she stood up. She said she needed to talk to Tim. She was still angry with me. She said I should have said it privately, that I had humiliated her publicly. I said she was right, that I was sorry for how I had done it, but that the truth needed to come out. She said nothing more. She left. After a few minutes, I got a text from Emmy. I checked my phone. It was full of profanity. She called me everything. Pig, idiot, traitor. Much worse things too. She wrote that I had destroyed her life, that I would regret this, that I was a selfish bastard who only thought about myself. I deleted the message. I went out into the garden again. The party wasn't exactly over, but the mood was ruined. People stood in groups and whispered. Some looked at me. Some turned away. My mother came over. She looked shocked. She asked if it was true. I nodded. She sat down on a chair. She looked like she didn't know what to say. My father came back after a while. He hadn't found Tim. Tim and Emmy had left the party. They had driven away together. My father sat down next to my mother. He looked exhausted. He asked why I hadn't said something to him first, why I had chosen to say it like this. I explained that I wanted everyone to know at the same time, that I didn't want Tim and Emmy to get the opportunity to lie their way out of it. He nodded slowly. He understood. But he was still not satisfied with how I had done it. People started going home after that. The party was officially over. No one had the energy anymore. It was too uncomfortable. I helped clean up. My mother barely said anything. She still seemed in shock. Emmy's mother hadn't been at the party. She had been sick. No one knew how they would tell her. I drove home to the apartment. Emmy wasn't there. Her car wasn't in the parking lot. I went in. It was empty and quiet. I sat down on the sofa. I sat there for hours. I waited for her to come home, but she didn't come. The next day, I got a text from Tim. It was the first I heard from him after the party. He wrote that I had destroyed everything, that I had no right to expose them, that it was their private life, that I had done it to hurt them. I didn't answer. Emmy came home in the afternoon. She looked tired. She had cried a lot. Her eyes were swollen. She went straight to the bedroom. She started packing. I asked where she was going. She said she was going to stay with a friend for a while. She couldn't be here. She couldn't stand to see me. I stood in the doorway and watched as she packed. She only took the essentials: clothes, toiletries, phone charger. She left the rest. Before she left, she said I would hear from her, that she needed to talk to her lawyer. The apartment was in both our names. We had joint bills. There was a lot that needed to be resolved. I nodded. She left. The days after were strange. I went to work as usual, but I couldn't focus. People at work had heard rumors. The news had spread quickly. Someone from the party had apparently talked. People looked at me. Some asked if it was true. I confirmed. They didn't know what to say. My mother called after a few days. She had talked to Emmy's mother. Emmy's mother was devastated. She had no idea what had been going on. She was angry with Emmy. She was angry with Tim. But she was also angry with me for how I had revealed it. My mother said I should have done it differently, that I had hurt too many people. I didn't defend myself. Maybe she was right. Maria called too. She said she was going to file for divorce papers. She couldn't continue to be married to Tim after this. She asked if I knew how long it had been going on. I said they had said 10 years. She went quiet. Then she said it explained a lot. that she had felt something was wrong in recent years, but she had never thought it was this. Never in her worst nightmares. Emmy got in touch after 2 weeks. She wanted to meet me to talk about the apartment. We met at a cafe. It was uncomfortable. She looked different, thinner, paler. She didn't want the apartment. I could have it. She would sign over her part to me. She just wanted it to be done quickly. I asked how things were with her. She shrugged. She said it was over, that her mother wasn't talking to her, that Tim and Maria were getting divorced, that it was my fault. I said it wasn't my fault, that it was their choice to have an affair. She got angry. She said I didn't understand, that I had destroyed everything for them, that they loved each other. I said they lied to everyone, that they used me. She said nothing more. She got up and left. The paperwork for the apartment took a few weeks. Emmy never came back to get her things. I packed everything in boxes. I put them in the garage. I texted her that they were there if she wanted them. She didn't answer. After a month, I donated most of it to charity. It felt good, like cleaning away that part of my life. My father called after everything was done. He said he understood why I had done what I did, that it hadn't been easy, but that I probably could have done it differently. I agreed. But it was too late now. What was done was done. I heard through rumors that Tim had moved to another city, that he had gotten a job there, that he and Emmy weren't seeing each other anymore, that Emmy had also moved. I don't know if it's true. I didn't bother to check it out. After this, no one has asked me if I want to make a speech at any event.
If you liked this story, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. It helps a lot, and you won't miss out on any future stories. Take care and live your best life.